Landlords in Toronto are getting absolutely beat up by the government and the Bank of Canada. And in the spirit of football season, landlords are 5'10" Kyler Murray trapped in the pocket, and the Bank of Canada is 280-pound Aaron Donald breaking through the offensive line, charging towards them. Now that we've set the scene here, the Bank of Canada has hiked the interest rate 10 times since the beginning of 2022, which has forced many landlords to list their properties. And notice how I said list and not sell. My name is Macallum, and I'm a team leader and real estate agent in the city of Toronto, specializing in residential resale. And if you want to chat about buying, selling, renting, or just about the market, all you have to do is click the first link in the description. And if you learned anything at all from this video, please don't forget to hit both the like and subscribe buttons. If you're a landlord or a tenant who's been impacted by increasing rates over the past almost 2 years, let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. Over the past few months, we've been having far more conversations with landlords who are looking to sell their properties than we have in the past. And that really shouldn't come as much of a surprise to most people, because if you've been following the market, with interest rates going up, it's harder for landlords to hold their properties. Although we know inventory is starting to build up in most asset classes, and we have an understanding that landlords may be struggling, I want to actually show you the data behind tenanted properties. I spent quite a bit of time this morning sifting through data going back to 2020 and recording the number of new tenanted listings in Toronto for each month. Now that's 44 months worth of backtracking data, so you're welcome. What I did is I went into the MLS and input a few filters. First, we're looking at all property types, but only in the city of Toronto, from January of 2020 until today. And we've filtered by properties which are currently listed on the MLS as occupancy tenanted. And we're looking at the number of new tenanted listings, not the number of sales. The one thing about this data is that a new listing could be a rollover from the month prior. The listing could have been on the market in August, then terminated, and then relisted in September at a new price. Way back in 2020, there were 6,606 tenanted properties to hit the market for sale. And that number dropped slightly in 2021 when we saw 6,413 tenanted properties hit the MLS. And then everything spiraled out of control with the Bank of Canada hiking interest rates in early of 2022. And this resulted in 7,767 tenanted properties hitting the MLS in Toronto during 2022, up 1,300 listings from the year before. But it gets even worse. We're only 9 months into 2023, and we've already seen a little over 8,000 tenanted properties hit the MLS for sale. And we still have another 3 months to go in the year. Now, I've covered this in a recent video, but if these properties sell and the new owner wants to move in or gives a valid reason, that the current tenant must find a new place to live and is likely going to be paying more because rents have risen drastically. Now, it's really just a lose-lose scenario for both landlords and the tenants. The landlord is forced to sell their investment property, and the tenant is forced to leave. As you can see here, the number of tenanted properties hitting the MLS for sale has trended up since 2020 and follows a fairly consistent pattern until March of 2023. In past years, we saw the most, if not close to the most, tenanted listings hit the market in March and then slow until January of the next year. But March of 2023 was only the beginning, with the number of tenanted listings continuing to jump each and every month until July of 2023, and then dropping down to the trend line in August of 2023, only to increase by about 400 listings the following month in September of 2023, when we saw just shy of 1,200 tenanted properties hit the MLS, which is pretty wild. I mean, it's pretty evident that landlords can only battle so much until it's time to just throw in the towel and list their investment properties on the MLS. And obviously, interest rates rising are causing this to happen. But what do the numbers actually look like? Well, let's take a look at a landlord's numbers if they bought an investment property in 2021 at a 1.5% rate. So a landlord buys a 1-bed, 1-bath, no parking condo in Liberty Village for $600,000 with 20% down over 25 years in April of 2021. And yes, this is a real example. I just found the listing. The landlord turns around and rents the property to a tenant for $1,700 a month. And yes, that was the going rate for a 1-bed, 1-bath, no parking in Liberty in April of 2021. When the landlord assumed the mortgage, they were paying just over $1,900 a month towards the mortgage, plus property taxes, maintenance fees, etc. So they're not even covering their mortgage costs with the rental income. They're actually losing $200 plus per month. But after steady rate increases since they bought, their mortgage payment is now around $3,000 per month, plus taxes, maintenance fees, etc. The landlord is now feeding their increased mortgage, but not seeing their rental income increase. And over the course of a year, that's an extra $20,000 the landlord needs to supply in order to hold their property, including maintenance and mortgage. And not every landlord can make those numbers work, and thus they're forced to list. Sure, the landlord has to sell, but if they bought before 2021, they're likely going to come out ahead financially. It's the tenant who really draws the short end of the stick here because they're likely going to have to find a new place to live, paying a higher price than they currently are. Before you start investing in real estate, make sure you're not budgeting on best case scenario or even mid case scenario. Budget for worst case, and if the deal still pencils, then it's a better bet. But if you're a buyer out there right now, focus on the tenanted properties because they typically get fewer showings and you may have more room to negotiate. If you're a landlord or a tenant who's been impacted by increasing rates over the past almost 2 years, let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you.